What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you are having an amazing day. We have got some truly wild stories for you today. We are talking about cheating boyfriends, entitled family members, and some serious family drama that will make your jaw drop. If you enjoy these stories, please hit that like button and subscribe, and let's get right into it. Our first story is a heartbreaker. It is titled, I, 22 female, woke up in the middle of the night to find my best friend, 22 female, sleeping with my boyfriend, 24 male, in the living room. Throwaway account for obvious reasons, and sorry for any formatting. I am on a mobile. I don't even know where to begin. My head is such a mess right now. So, my boyfriend, John, and I have been dating for 3 years, and at the beginning, it was the most romantic love story. I met him when I was 18 and started dating him when I was 19, and the more I dated him, the more I saw a future with him. He would always put time and effort into me, take care of me, and go an extra mile to put a smile on my face. But things have changed since then, to say the least, after about 1.5 years of dating. It started with little things like him not wanting to kiss me as much or finding excuses to not hang out. We went from seeing each other every day to only hanging out maybe once or twice a week for 2 hours. I know he has got his own life and I'm not trying to control him, but I wish he would make me feel a little more special and maybe make an extra effort to see me. I should probably also mention that I suffer from depression and a low self-esteem, and it is probably really hard on John when I'm in a bad state. I try not to, but sometimes I just can't help feeling so alone and in the dark. So anyways, we were celebrating my best friend's, ex-best friend now, birthday at my house last night with a bunch of friends, maybe about 20, and there was a fair bit of drinking. The reason she couldn't have the party at her house was because she shares her place with roommates, which was fine because I had no problem throwing her party at mine as long as she helped clean the house up in the morning. The night went all right, but I did notice John and Sarah, the best friend, were getting a little too close, like him grabbing her from behind and spinning her around. But I just brushed it off because I never noticed anything before and we're all best friends. So after around midnight, everyone is left and John, Sarah, and I are just chilling in the lounge room laughing about our night together. And when it was ready for bed, I set up a mattress in the lounge room for Sarah and John told me he would be in our bed soon. So I went to bed and crashed alone. And maybe after a few hours, I woke up in the middle of the night desperately needing to pee. Now, I don't have a bathroom connected to my room. It is down the hall. So I slowly get up and realize John isn't in our bed. So I went to walk down the hall when I start to hear like moaning noises and I'm like, what the F? And I peek my head down the hall to see John and Sarah having sex. I know I should have confronted them right there and then, but I couldn't. I just sneaked back in the bed and cried silently. I didn't even have a chance to pee. So now it's morning, John has snuck back into our bed and is acting like nothing has happened. I have lost a long life best friend and a boyfriend I put 3 years into. I don't even know how to confront them. I'm not even sure if I can confirm what I had seen because we were all drinking. It is driving my insanity crazy. But the real kicker is that John and I haven't slept together in months, but he can sleep with her? I just feel so low. How can I confront them and even begin to process this? I don't want to lose John. We have our ups and downs, but he is everything to me. If everyone has ever been in this situation and has any advice, feel free to let me know. Just don't be too brutal. I think I already know what I have to do. This is absolutely devastating. Let's see what the comments said. One user says, unbelievable. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I would first sit down with John and just be straight up about what you saw and heard. There's no way he can lie or deny it without looking like an idiot. I would deal with Sarah afterwards. Damn snake. Honestly though, if it were me in the situation, I would cut them both off right after confronting them. No questions asked. What your friend and boyfriend did was beyond betrayal. The original poster replied, I'm thinking of doing this once Sarah leaves, which should hopefully be soon. I'm just hiding away in my room. I feel so pathetic. Another commenter wrote, all I can say is leave. He cheated on you and broke your trust. You deserve better. Find someone who respects you. The original poster responded, one thing I'm scared about leaving is that he has private photos of me, and I'm afraid he will share them if I left him in such an abrupt way. He can be that kind of petty person. I think I know his password. I'm going to try delete the photos before I confront him with the excuse that I need to check my email or something like that. But if something happens, I will definitely go to the police." Someone else added, "You need to call both them out and get out of the relationship ASAP. If he's willing to cheat on you in your house with what was supposed to be your best friend, he'll never change. I would have been beating my friend's face in, so I do give you props for not stabbing any of them. Not just one person broke your trust, but two of them together." Original poster said, "Thank you for the encouragement. I wish I had your strength. I'm going to confront him when Sarah leaves." We have a few updates on this one. Update 1. I used the excuse that I had to text my mother what day we're hanging out today. I don't have credit and John knows that, so he didn't suspect anything. And I went through his phone and the evidence was pretty damning. They have been sleeping together for a while. I took screenshots of their conversations and sent it to my phone in case he tried to deny it. After all that, I confronted him when Sarah left. It was so hard to even get the words out. And you know what? He denied it. He told me he loves me more than anything and would never do that, and that I should know that and to stop accusing him of such silly nonsense. That is when I told him I have seen all of his and Sarah's messages. At first, he still kept denying it, saying someone has hacked his accounts and he doesn't know what I'm talking about. But eventually he broke down crying, saying he loves me and doesn't want to lose me, but couldn't feel the spark anymore, and it was the biggest mistake of his life. He wants to make this work and push past this. Well, maybe you should have tried instead of sleeping with my best friend. So I told him to leave, and of course, he doesn't know where his car keys are and asks if it's okay to stay for a few hours when his best friend Mark gets off work, so he can pick him up. It was so difficult to say no, but I did. I just wanted to be alone. He ended up finding his car keys, and he's been calling and messaging me ever since. As for Sarah, I got a message from her saying this. I'm assuming John gave her the heads up. "I can't even explain how sorry I am. I never wanted to hurt you, and I don't know how this happened, but something grew between John and I can't deny that what we have is so intensely strong and real. I hope we can work for this, and I hope you can someday come to become okay with me and John being a couple. I wish you the best of luck, and when you're ready, please message me. Lots of love." So I don't know what to believe. John is telling me he wants to work through this, while Sarah is saying they're a couple. I'm now going to be ending it with John, and my mom is going to come meet with me. Update 2. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for your words of advice and support. Some of you guys suggested that I send the messages that John sent me to Sarah. Me and my mom talked about it and how I might come off as spiteful and jealous, but I thought, screw it, I don't owe you guys the time of day or respect. So I sent them to her. At first she didn't respond and ignored it, but then replied asking to meet up and discuss this. Now she's playing the victim, saying she had no idea that John still wanted to pursue me and that we have both been played. My plan is to pack up all John's stuff and leave it out the front outside. Then message him he can collect it while I'm at work. He's got 3 days to get it until I donate it to a charity. I also then blocked his number and every social media account. Update 3. He picked up his stuff, loaded it into his car, and then showed up to my door. I told him to pick it up during my work hours, but of course, he didn't have the decency to give me that either. I am so angry. Mom said that he tried to walk through the door and she told him to get lost and slammed the door in his face. I could hear him calling my name and it made me cry a little harder, but I just wish I could have had the satisfaction of watching him have the door slammed in his face. Just, what a piece of crap. Honestly, good riddance to bad rubbish. That best friend, Sarah, sending you a message about their love is intensely strong and real, literally minutes after you found out, that is pure evil. And John playing both sides, telling you he wants to work it out while telling her they're a couple, he's a manipulator. You handled this perfectly by kicking him out and deleting those photos. Don't look back.
Next up, we have a story that really highlights how cruel favoritism can be. Am I the asshole for asking my adoptive parents if they have a college fund for me, like they have for my sister? I, 17 male, was adopted as an infant. My parents were in their late 30s and had tried to have bio kids for years. It didn't happen for them for more than a decade, so they looked at infant adoption. My birth parents chose them to be my parents. My parents were present at my birth, and my adoptive mom held my birth mom's hand as I was born. Then I went home with my adoptive parents, and the rest was history. 3 years after they adopted me, my parents found out my adoptive mom was pregnant with my sister, 14 female. I don't know if they treated me different after that or if they were always a little less in love with me than some adopted kids get. But I always felt that my sister was the clear favorite and their real child. My parents adore her. They spoil her. She got all the cute nicknames like Little Sweetheart, Baby Star, to list a couple of them. They were also really obsessed with how much she looked like a perfect mix of the two of them. Mom's eye color and nose, Dad's hair color and round face and other features. A few of my cousins used to rub it in real good that my parents had their real kid now, and if they could send me back, they would. My family knew they said it, but nobody ever seemed to care very much. I didn't get cuddles and kisses like my sister, didn't get the quality time with each of my parents like she did, didn't get crazy spoiled like her either. They didn't completely ignore me and I did get gifts, but they spent less on me and bought less for me too. I told my parents a few times that I felt left out and they didn't change anything or acknowledge it was true or not true. My sister noticed a difference and she would make fun of it. She used to say she wished she had a real sibling and not a fake one. A year ago, I found out my parents had a huge college fund for my sister. They were talking to my aunt about it and how they had invested from a few things and taken from their savings for it. They never mentioned having one for me, which stung, and I thought about it a lot. I reached out to my birth parents a few months ago too, and they don't want a relationship with me. My parents said they expected as much, but figured it wasn't their place to say. My sister said I had 4 parents who didn't want me, so I must be broken. 2 weeks ago, my parents asked me to speak to my guidance counselor about how busy they are and tell her she should talk college stuff with me and not them. I figured she wanted to find out about the money and that's why she wanted to talk to them. It got to me and I asked them if they had a college fund for me like they have for my sister. They asked me how I knew about it and got mad at me for asking the question. I asked them why they would make sure she has one but not me when I will be going to college first, and they asked me why I was asking questions that are none of my business. It made me feel like crap, and since that day there is a whole lot of tension in the house and my sister's rubbing it in that she gets a college fund and I don't. My parents never said either way, but not saying anything is basically an answer, right? Am I the asshole? Let's see what the comments have to say about this heartbreaking situation. Not the asshole, it is 100% your business whether or not you have a college fund, and the fact that your parents are trying to tell you it's not is frankly quite bizarre. Whether they do or don't could drastically impact your life. They chose to be your parents the moment you were born. They don't just back out of important responsibilities just because they had another one. If this is real, not the asshole. Look, sadly, it appears your adoptive parents stopped wanting you when they had a real baby of their own. That sucks. Talk to the guidance counselor properly. Explain the situation, that your parents won't be providing you with any financial support after you're 18, and you need to know what your options are. For what it's worth, I'd avoid having any breakup fights with your parents or your sister. You may be out on your own at 18, and when living independently, an important life lesson is never to pick fights you don't have to. The worst part for me is none of the adults saying anything when my cousins or sisters say the stuff they do. The lack of any reaction always made me feel more insecure. Original poster, my parents had 2 adopted kids before having me. They never treated any of us differently. All of this to say that your family is unfortunately not your forever family, but at 18, you can choose your own family. This makes my blood boil. The cruelty of adopting a child and then casting them aside the moment a biological child comes along is unforgivable. And the sister calling you broken? That is learned behavior. She learned that cruelty from your parents. Original poster, get your education, get your scholarships, and get out of there. Success is the best revenge. You are not broken, they are. Next story. Am I the asshole for choosing to live with my mom and have only court-ordered contact with my dad, even though my dad thinks I should side with him because he blames my mom for my half-sister's death? Last month, my brother, 14, and I, 16, spoke to a judge and asked him to let us live with our mom instead of splitting time between both of our parents like we have since they got divorced. The judge spent 20 minutes with each of us and decided to give us permission to stop going to Dad's house. But he did order 3 phone calls a week each that are meant to be 20 to 30 minutes. He gave a mini speech on the importance of parents and letting past issues go as we move into adulthood. My dad hadn't realized when mom took him back to court that we were in on it. When he figured it out, he had an outburst in court and he tried to confront us and mom after we left the courtroom. Those phone calls are annoying. My dad uses them to ask why we chose mom and how could we abandon our family after everything mom has done. He accuses mom of parental alienation and doesn't believe us when we say she never said anything bad about him or Heather, his wife, or her half-siblings. He doesn't believe us. And he always brings it back to mom's responsibility for my half-sister's death 9 years ago. Not sure how much background you need, but here's the important stuff. My dad cheated on mom with Heather. Mom found out and divorced dad. I was 3 and my brother was 1. Heather and my dad tried to have kids and she had 3 miscarriages. Then Heather's 4th pregnancy went better, only she went into really early labor and my half-sister was a preemie. My dad and Heather had a lot of money issues and they started a GoFundMe to help them cover costs and everything. Mom won a car in some local competition and sold it for the money. Dad knew about it or he found out online and asked mom for the money. Mom said no and refused to donate to the GoFundMe either. My dad and Heather ended up missing a lot of rent deadlines and then my half-sister died. My dad and Heather always blamed mom for it. They said if she had been less selfish and had put aside her hatred for them and helped by donating money or letting them borrow the money she got for the car, my half-sister would have lived. My dad said mom knew all about the miscarriages and he bet he enjoyed knowing him and Heather were suffering. They talked about their anger and hate for mom around us a lot. We were told they blamed mom. My dad always stopped himself before going too far, but he said stuff over the years about how we should be extra loyal to him and Heather because we know mom was the reason our half-sister died. I always hated it and my brother did too as he got older and understood more. My dad and Heather ended up having more kids after they got back on their feet. I was 14 when someone in my dad's family told me about the affair and they told me it made everything that happened after more intense. I told my brother. We felt awful for mom and saw dad in even worse light than we did for all the stuff he talked about her. That's what led to our decision to live with mom. My dad still thinks we should hate mom and he talks to us like we're crazy for our choice. I know my dad still has grief he never worked through, but I don't think he's right and I think he's crazy to expect us to hate mom for the same reason he does. Am I the asshole? Let's see what the community thinks about this heavy situation. Not the asshole. Your father and stepmom are bitter as hell for the situation they created for themselves. Neither you nor your mom are at fault here. Your dad created a bad environment for what I assume to be the 9 years since they lost their child. That affects you and you shouldn't have to defend yourself. It's definitely not weird and you're honestly very brave for going against someone you've chosen to love for so long. Your father and his wife need serious therapy. Your mother had nothing to do with their child's death. What they are demonstrating is misdirected anger and blame driven by grief. Their child was born premature and had health conditions. There is no guarantee that any money your mother provided would have changed the outcome. Not the asshole. And your father is insane and incapable of taking responsibility for his actions. He's the one who cheated. He's the one who spoke ill of your mother. He's accusing her of parental alienation when he is the one who committed it. Not the asshole. What your dad and Heather are doing is parental alienation. They are also delusional for thinking your mom is responsible for the death of their child. Sometimes babies die, and premature babies are even more likely to die than full-term babies. They just want someone to blame. This father is delusional. He cheated, destroyed his marriage, and then blamed his ex-wife for a tragedy that had nothing to do with her. That is narcissism at its finest. He's trying to brainwash his kids to hate their mom because he can't accept his own guilt. Original poster, you and your brother are incredibly mature for seeing through his lies. Stay with your mom, she sounds like the only sane parent you have. Last story for today, and this one is a satisfying one. Am I the asshole for telling my sister that she shouldn't have sex after she had a hysterectomy? I, female, have been in a long-term relationship with my now fiancé, female, and will be getting married later this year. We are keeping it small so that it's cheaper and to make it a more intimate event. My sister is extremely Catholic and has been anti-LGBT since before I came out. I have decided not to invite her since she doesn't believe our marriage will be a real marriage. For context, she's married, and although she always wanted kids, she had to get a hysterectomy for medical reasons. One of her religious arguments for being against LGBT and gay marriages is that they cannot produce life. She thinks marriage is between a man and a woman who can be joined in sex only when there is no contraception and their sex act can produce baby. Since she has been so against my future marriage, I asked her if she still has sex with her husband. She was offended and said that it was not my business, but I pointed out that if she cannot have a baby due to her hysterectomy, she should not be having sex. Am I the asshole for pointing out her double standards? Not the asshole. If she can say such things to you, she can take them. As a woman who has had a hysterectomy, I came in here expecting to be so offended. Nah, that's fair play. Well done. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Not only are you not the asshole, you're awesome for tossing her nonsense back at her. Not the asshole. You're right. If sex is only to create life and she can't, she has no business having sex. Of course, I don't believe that because it's utter bullshit, but they're her beliefs, so she should live by them, or keep her shitty opinions to herself. Not the asshole. You're funny as F in my opinion. This is the perfect example of don't dish it out if you can't take it. If she's going to use her specific, rigid definition of marriage to invalidate your relationship, she has to live by those same rules. She doesn't get to move the goalpost just because it's inconvenient. You called her bluff perfectly. Maybe next time she'll think twice before judging you. That is all the stories we have for today, guys. I really want to know what you think about the adoption story. Do you think the parents actually loved them, or were they just using him until they got their real kid? It is super sad. Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more daily Reddit stories. Stay safe, love the people who treat you right, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.